Hello, hello to all the parents of the next generation. It's Megan Borelli here, your positive parenting and happy home guide. Happy Monday. Happy new start to the week. This live, we're talking about how much are we willing to unlearn as parents today? Because stress levels are so high for parents individually and in the world. And then there's all this pressure to be a conscious parent, to be a gentle or be a positive parent. And what's happening that I see is we have all this stress, all these unmet basic needs for parents, for kids, for families, the stress of what's going on in the world, coupled with all this pressure to be conscious, to be gentle, to be positive, and that there's a lot of parenting information coming at us of what we should be learning. But really, I find that the quality of our parenting is really contingent upon how much support we have for the stress, where are our basic needs, and things that are connected to a lot of what's going on in the world, and that we have a society that doesn't support families and children. But there's something else that I found that is really connected to the quality of our parenting is either a desire or a belief that we can unlearn, because it's not just about more information as parents. And so what do I really mean by that? Well, parenting is designed to be this blueprint. It's this blueprint that we inherit from our parents and caregivers. And it's designed to be an autopilot. And for some of us, probably 1 to 10% of us, maybe 20%, that's a good thing. We had good enough parents. We had parents who were really rooted in empathy and positive relationship connection and empowerment. And again, if that was your childhood, go ahead and thank your parents and caregivers. But most of the parents, probably all of the parents that I work with, that isn't the case. There's something faulty in our inherited parenting blueprint. And so that makes parenting very, very challenging, because parenting is something that intrinsically, when we have trust and when we're able to move from our instincts and our intuition, it functions best. But for most of us today, the inherited blueprint is faulty. So we have to be doing double, sometimes triple time the work to unlearn what we inherited to get us back to that place where we're all supposed to be, which is in our place of trust and in our place of connection with our intuition and our wisdom and our gifts. And if I had to say, as a positive parenting coach, what is the number one thing that I do? I help you as a parent regain that trust in yourself. That trust in yourself that may have been covered, jeopardized by your prior life experiences, including the way that you were raised and the way that you were educated. So it's big, big work that we're doing today as parents, with all the stress, with the chronically unmet basic needs and lack of support for families. And then the reality that most of us don't come into parenting being able to trust our intuition like this. Okay, so that's the main thing that I'm doing. I'm helping you get to a place where you can trust your parenting intuition. And from that, then we're able to support our children's behavior. We're able to stabilize family relationships and dynamics. And we're able to feel really confident and empowered and secure in our parenting. So, what is a little bit about the parenting blueprint that we've inherited? Because what we see going on in the US, in the administration, there is a parenting paradigm connected to that. And that's why it's so important that we all follow the decolonized parenting experts. But what is this discipline that's connected to the oppression we see going on in the world. It is discipline as with fear. It is discipline as punishing. And it is discipline as a tool of oppression. And it's just important to recognize that the vast majority of us were either raised with that, our parents were raised with that, or it's the educational system that that also raised us. And so part of our default parenting is this parenting that parenting is supposed to be about fear and control. And what's some of the core messaging that we're up against, that we're wanting to change for ourselves and this generation? It's that behavior equals character. This is the foundation of what we're unlearning, that bad people do bad things and good people do good things. And we praise and reward good behavior, and we punish or negatively reinforce bad behavior. And this comes up so much in parenting today when we're stressed. We might have this old message activating. In fact, what parents will tell me is, Megan, when my kids are struggling with their behavior, part of what stresses me out is I feel like a bad parent. I feel like it reflects poorly on me. And that's that whole connection of behavior equals character that's being activated. And that's one of the main messages that we're unlearning. And the unlearning, the hard thing about the unlearning is it's not logical. Because logically, most of us today believe that we're all good people and that mistakes are how we learn and grow. But cellularly, what our body's experience is as a being in this world and as a child, that is not the case. So we're trying to change that imprinting on the cellular level. Okay, part of that, behavior equals character, good behavior equals good kids, bad behavior equals bad kids, is that mistakes are bad and we must pay for them. And this will come up a lot with some of the discipline practices that I share. Parents will feel like, but am I rewarding bad behavior? And that's something that there's a lot to unpack there. And what can happen too with these messages that we're all unlearning, there's some of us that might still identify with these methods. And that's not usually the parents that I'm working with. If you're here listening to this, you're not identifying in your value system as a discipline by fear. A discipline is punishment. You're not wanting to utilize discipline as a tool of oppression. And that's the frustrating part, is that because we were raised and educated in that model, that is part of our cellular experience that we're being called to change. And again, following the decolonized parenting experts is really important for all of us to do. And so what's happening though that I see is that because parents are wanting to disconnect so far from that discipline as fear, that discipline as control and as oppression, is that we're swinging way too far to the other end of the spectrum. And there's a misinterpretation of what gentle parenting is, of what positive and conscious parenting is. It's not being permissive. It's providing, the both love and the providing and the modeling of both the love and the mutual respect that's rooted in our trust in ourselves and in our children, not giving in to our kids or not being afraid to have boundaries and expectations and follow through in our families. That's really doing a disservice. And why is that doing a disservice? One, because it's not what our kids need to thrive, and it's setting us up for failure as parents, because what will happen is when we swing too far and we think that gentle, positive, conscious parenting means having no boundaries and not following through with our kids and not being in our proper leadership role, well, guess what happens? They start misbehaving. They start running the show. And then when we're under stress, when push comes to shove, the exact thing that we don't want to happen happens, and we end up falling back on those fear-based discipline methods in order to try and get some semblance of control, in order to try and get back into our leadership place. But at that point, it's too late. We've already lost our power. And, that's just, if you identify with that cycle, that's one of the main cycles that I help with. And so for most of us, we don't identify with discipline. We don't want it to be a tool of oppression, right? Some of us may have gone too far into the other end of the spectrum. And most of us find when we're really under stress, when we have a lot of unmet basic needs, then when that stress response system is activated, part of what's stored in there is that discipline as fear and as oppression. So we've got to have compassion for ourselves if we are falling back on fear-based discipline practices when we're under stress. And honestly, fear-based discipline can be trying to overpower our children, but fear-based discipline is also when we let them overpower us. And a lot of parents that I work with are finding me because they may feel like they're being victimized, that they're like, parents will tell me, I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship with my child, right? So I help you restore that trust in your leadership, okay? So part of the quality of our parenting is how much are we willing to unlearn what we were raised with? How much are we willing to face the programming that's within us around discipline on a cellular level and to work on changing that? And that's where I come in to support families. So a couple resources to do this work, right? To do this unlearning work, because it's not just about unlearning for unlearning's sake. It's about being in our place of trust in ourselves, trust in our parenting, trust in our children, being able to show up as leadership in a place of leadership, having access to our wisdom, our gifts, and our strengths. That's what parenting is about today. And in order to do that work, we have to be willing, or we get to be access courage and bravery to face what we're unlearning, right? Because that old school fear-based discipline model, it is a tool of oppression. It's a tool to suppress the masses. Because if we're all feeling like, oh, we're bad people, right? Then we're going to spend all this time in our self-doubt, in our self-judgment, and our self-criticism. We're not going to be able to be connected to our kids, yes, and our gifts and our wisdom. We're not going to be able to really fulfill our purpose if we're doubting ourselves, if our voice has been suppressed from childhood, right? And we're not going to be able to support the gifts and the leadership in the next generation. So this is big work. And this is, I think, some of the most exciting work. Of course, I'm biased. I work with parents and kids, but this is just with everything going on with this administration. If you want to focus on the quality of your parenting, being in your place of leadership and empowerment and trust and wisdom and intuition, then that's going to become your parenting blueprint. And that'll be on autopilot for the next generation. So we're raising kids who are secure in themselves, who aren't debilitated by a lot of the self-doubt that we've had to overcome in our lives. And they also have been raised with discipline practices rooted in empowerment, rooted in trust and positive relationship. And that's the way they show up to lead in their communities to create change. This is some of the most exciting work that we can be doing today as parents and as people. So ways that you can get support. After the inauguration date, I was like, okay, we got to work on upgrading our parenting for 2025. So I created this free guide. It's Upgrade Our Parenting 2025. It's the 6 key messages that we can take to unlearn the programming that we've been taught and reconnect with our inherent goodness, trust, and leadership as parents, to do the same for our children, to bring out their trust in their self, their belief in their inherent goodness, and their leadership. And so I've got these 6 key messages. That is a free guide. Once you're in that community, I have a $99 1-hour coaching session that you can access. We'll take the 6 key messages and then we'll customize and individualize them to bring them alive for your family. Next, starting at the end of this week, I have a Happy Home community class starting. I haven't done a straight up parenting class since before the pandemic, and I'm really excited. This is for you if you want a cost-effective way to work with me. It's $199 for the 4 weeks. This is for you if you like learning from other parents. It's going to be a small community of us doing this work, so there's time for you to get some some individualized support too. And if you really identify with Happy Home Coaching and you want to be in a non-judgmental, supportive, conscious community of learners, and you want something that's cost effective, then this Happy Home Community class is for you, and it's $199. And I am enrolling for Happy Home Coaching. This is an experience that combines education, coaching, and on-call support for your family. My cat is coming to say hello to you all as well. I don't know if you can see her. There's Mist. Yay. And so, yeah, this is for you if you're really committed to doing the work. You have both time and financial resources to dedicate to your family, and you're ready for a life-changing transformation. And that's what Happy Home Coaching is designed for. And if that's the case and you want to learn more, then you can message me. You can comment below, and I will schedule a complimentary consultation so we can make sure that we're a good fit, that I'm a good fit to support your family. So listen, parenting today, a big part of it comes down to how much are we willing to unlearn? Because even if logically, even if consciously, we do not connect with a discipline model that is disciplined by fear, we don't connect with discipline as oppression, discipline as a punishment, discipline as putting people in boxes of good or bad based on their behavior, guess what? It's the model that we were raised with. And parenting is a blueprint. So that model is going to get activated. That parenting, that discipline as fear model that was part of the collective consciousness of what we were raised with. Guess what? Even if we don't consciously and logically agree with it, it's going to be activated when we're stressed. And so we're going to fall back on those fear-based discipline messages. And that can be either overpowering our kids or being overpowered by them. And so my number one goal is to return you to your inherent place of trust. Trust in who you are as a person, connection with your intuition and your gifts. And then from that place, you show up as a parent. And then I'm sharing all the practical tools that will be placed on top of that foundation. But what we're trying to do a lot in this information age with AI, with the parenting blogs and the podcasts and the experts on Instagram and TikTok, it's more information that's just being placed upon a foundation that we inherited that isn't even ours, that's being called to change. And so I want to do that work where we're creating a new foundation for you. We're creating a new positive legacy of your parenting blueprint that's going to be on autopilot for your children to inherit, okay? And ways you can get support, you can get my free Upgrade Our Parenting 2025 guide. Oh, I also have a free Happy Home Week, which includes a 30-minute session with me. You can look at our Happy Home Community class, which is starting at the end of the week. It is an amazing way to access Happy Home methodology at a cost-effective format in a community-based class, and to learn alongside a community of other conscious yet stressed out other parents. And so that's $199. And then Happy Home Coaching, you can always message me to learn more. And that's our intensive experience that includes on-call support for your family, coaching, and education. Most importantly, be good to yourself. If you're struggling as a parent, know that you're not alone and that the strength is always there within our challenges, and I'll help you get back to that place. Okay, so I'm holding that light for you, for your family, to return you to your place of trust, your place of wisdom, and your place of connection with your intuition as a parent, and then to build your parenting tool set on top of that strong foundation. Okay, all the best, and I'll see you again next time.